understanding the scope of the tragedy, the nature of the tragedy, and the dynamics of the tragedy is the first step in achieving a great 9th of Av morning session. Where does tragedy come from? But not general human tragedy of disease and of death and of decay, but of the type of tragedy relating to society, of the infliction of destruction via proxy, via laws, via misdirection, via propaganda, via regulations, via dislike, via sending people in the wrong directions to confuse and to tire. The types of sin, the types of affliction that humans cause within the structure of bureaucratic mediums is unique to humanity. And it is deeply intriguing that the rabbis understood that the spiritual pursuit has to begin, or begins at a certain foundation with understanding the war of proxies. The rabbis say that a unique effect was causing this destruction. They said unnecessary, aimless hatred of one person to the other. Aimless or free hatred. Hatred that you give for free. This phenomenon seems to occur amongst good societies, amongst organized societies, amongst societies with law, because the Israelite society was successful because it was organized and because it used laws and because it used systems. But it seems that those systems have an effect of causing separation, of causing distancing, and of cold shouldering one's neighbor. So the ideal of loving one neighbor and being kind to one neighbors and considering one neighbors eventually turns into and saltifies and turns into a problem. And the rabbis are bringing our attention to this problem. There is a mediolateral, a transverse, a lateral attack on society's fabric. And it is coming from no place which can be identified clearly. And it is causing people to interact with each other strangely, rudely, unsympathetically, unkindly. And it is a reverse effect of the ideals which were originally embedded in the biblical idea of kindness, of hospitality, of interpersonal relations, of the reflection of God in the other, and seeing the divine in the other, and in the plethora of enjoyment in the world, and the sharing of that enjoyment, the uninhibited sharing, and the right to pursue individual happiness. Individual happiness. And these ideas are disappearing. And a day like this, where individuals see how their individual happiness is disappearing, and understand that this is an institutional effect which affects old and successful societies. they should understand through their voluntary resistance and not accepting of food, to voluntarily understand the reasons and to conceptualize, to be sensitized to the problems and to conceptualize the solutions. And with all the tragedy, the rabbis talk about a simple remedy, and that is the opposite of free hatred, and that is free love. To love and to be kind and to treat people like you'd want to be treated yourself. And all the moral epithets that are given daily to act good. But this challenge specifically in this time where we are attached to machines and we are attached to systems and we attach to automation, the relationship that we're going to have, the kind and considerate relationship that we're going to have with each other, will need to be developed and will need to be cultivated and cannot be left to chance. And that is going to be the great challenge for the coming time. And in deep understanding of this period and this process of bitterness and of mourning and of rebuilding, the rabbis describe an incredible idea that bitterness can be transformed into happiness, and obituarizing and mourning the death and the tragedy can be turned into happiness. And that function and that transition, that form of photosynthesis of energy, seems to be the one that the rabbis define as being an important spiritual effect. And it seems that that is a challenge today of our times.